Today is the 25th of the 5th, 2020, which is the 22nd anniversary of my accident, which also means that I've been physically paralyzed for 22 years. I've been using a wheelchair, being a quadriplegic for 22 years. In this video, I'm going to be answering a lot of your questions. Some people have asked me a lot of questions. I'm going to answer them. I'm going to share my honest thoughts, feelings, emotions, how it's affected my life, what it's like to live with a disability. And I'm also going to answer the big question, which a lot of people want to know, but are scared to ask, and that is, can I have sex? All that's coming up. Hey everyone, it's Corey and welcome to my channel that's all about motivating and inspiring people to choose life through my own experiences, positive and negative. And if you're a new viewer, can you please consider subscribing? Let's get into it. So first of all, folks, I wanted to make this video for a few reasons. Number one, I just wanted to raise some awareness about, spinal cord injury, disability in general, and answer a few questions that people might have. The other reason is because I love using my disability, my experiences to interrupt people's thinking, their current thinking, and just to give them a different perspective on life. And, just by receiving a different perspective, hearing other people's stories, other people's experiences, just that in itself can change the direction of people's lives, can change their mindset, change the way they feel about themselves or just life in general. So, I love to do that. I've got to find the positive out of this big negative that I've been through. And the way that I do that is by, inspiring and motivating people. So that's got me jacked up. The other reason is because over the 22 years that I've been in a wheelchair, if I had a few cents for every time someone asked me a question about my disability, I'd be a millionaire. Like, that's the truth, folks. So, so what I thought I'd do is make a list of all the questions that people ask me, write them down. People have sent in some questions. I'll answer them. And then when I'm out and about living my life, if someone asks me a question, I'll just say, jump on my YouTube channel, have a look. And then eventually, at least I'll get paid for it. I think that's pretty cool, right? So I just want you to know, folks, I'm going to share with you my experiences with my disability. As you know, I'm a quadriplegic, C5, C6, incomplete quadriplegic. I'll explain a bit more about that in a second. But you need to know that, every spinal cord injury is different. So I can only speak for myself, share my own experiences through my injury, and how it affects me. Like I said, other people are going to experience different things. It's a weird thing, spinal cord injury. It can be different for a lot of people. So the other thing I want you to know is that I'm not too serious, folks. I'm not very politically correct. I can't even say the word. I just don't take things too seriously. I respect other people, if they're politically correct and all that when it comes to disability and stuff like that, that's cool. I respect that. But for me, one of the biggest things I use to get through life and everything like that is humor. Okay? So it's cool, folks. The stuff I'm going to share with you is going to be very personal, in-depth, honest, very raw. And to be honest, I don't feel uncomfortable about it. You're probably going to feel more uncomfortable than me because I'm going to talk about some pretty full-on stuff. So, just a bit of a warning and I guess a disclaimer. I'm going to talk about some heavy stuff, some emotional stuff, my thoughts, my feelings. I'm going to talk about sex with a spinal cord injury, everything like that. So I just want you to know that now. If you want to proceed and watch further, let's do it together. So, like I said, I don't take things too seriously. Anyone can ask me anything. I'm pretty cool about stuff. So let's get into it. So one of the first, biggest questions I get asked when I'm out and about is, people instantly are like, what happened? Why are you in a wheelchair? And my response to that is, in 1998, when I just turned 20, I broke my neck surfing and I'm a quadriplegic. The next thing they ask me is, how are you a quadriplegic? You're moving your arms around. Most people think that, quadriplegics can't move. which is true. Some people can't move their arms or anything at all. Like I said, which is true. But my level of injury is a C5, C6. It's a low level injury, and more importantly, it's incomplete. So incomplete means that the spinal cord hasn't been completely chopped in half. So there's some messages, getting through. So that's why I can move my arms around. They don't work 100%. All you got to remember is quad means 4. 4 limbs affected, and para means 2. That's just the way it is, okay? So another question that I get asked is, do I want to walk? It's been 22 years since my injury, and people ask me like, do you want to walk? And the honest answer is, of course. Of course I want to walk. Like, it's just give me a sec. I have a quick drink. Of course I want to walk. I'd love to walk. Like, it would make my life so much easier, and I would definitely love to walk. That would be great. The other question that people ask me is, you want to walk, do you think about it every day? Like, people ask me, like, do you think about walking every single day? And this is where it gets pretty heavy. The truth is, I don't. For the first 7 to 10 years, I thought about walking every second of the day. Like, honestly, folks, like, I thought about it all the time. And I used to have dreams, like, that I'd be walking and everything like that. And to me, they were just nightmares. Like, I was actually scared. For the first 7 to 10 years, I was actually scared of falling asleep, because I'd have these dreams where I was walking, and they were so real that I'd be in that dream and I'd be like walking around, and then as soon as I'd start waking up, reality would hit, and I hated it. Like, it was a really hard time for those first 7 to 10 years. Like I've said, just dreaming of walking, thinking about walking, fantasizing about walking, like it's all I wanted to do. And now, I don't think about it at all. Honestly, I don't think about walking. I want to walk, but I don't think about it at all. So another question that I get asked a lot is, do I get angry when people try to help me or when people offer to help me? And the answer is no, I don't get angry. It's 2020, and you only have to look around and experience life that we live on a pretty selfish planet. Like, most people look out for themselves. Most people don't even say hello anymore. So if I'm out and about and someone comes up to me and they're like, "G'day mate, do you want a hand? Do you need any help or anything like that?" I really appreciate that. Like, 9 times out of 10, I don't need help, but I really respect and appreciate that. And the reason why is this. Number one, it takes people a lot of courage to walk up to a stranger and say, "Do you want a hand?" Because they know deep down, there's people out there that will get so angry and abuse them and like, "Oh, what are you doing?" So number one, it takes courage to walk up to a stranger and say, "Hey man, do you need a hand?" Number two, like I said, it's 2020. We live on a selfish planet, and most people are just looking out for themselves. Most people don't even say hello. So for me, for someone to be like, "Hey man, do you want a hand?" I'm just like, dude, that's cool. Like, that is really cool. That's very nice, considering the world that we live in. So all I do is say, "Hey man, look, I really appreciate it, but I'm fine. Have a fantastic day." So the fact is, I don't get angry at people that offer to give me a hand. Like, I appreciate it. Like, I think it's really nice. So another question that people ask me is, do I regret going surfing the day that I had my accident? And the answer is no. I don't regret going surfing at all. Like, surfing was my life. Like, I absolutely love surfing. To this day, I still love surfing. I do not regret. I have no regrets at all. It was my passion. Like, the truth is, folks, if I could get up and walk right now, the first thing I want to do is go surfing. I would be in that water as quick as anything. Anyone that knows me knows that if I could get up and walk right now, I'd be in that car and I'd be straight down the beach. And I'd be in that water again. So I don't regret going surfing. I have absolutely no regrets at all. Yeah, so I have absolutely no regrets. I love surfing. To this day, I still think about surfing. So, to go back to the question where people ask me like, Corey, do you think about walking? Do you want to walk? Of course I want to walk. Do I think about walking? The answer is no, I don't actually. But if you ask me if I think about surfing, that's a different question. I think about surfing every single day. I miss it. I love it. I'll watch a few videos every single day. I check out the waves. I love going to the beach. Like, it's my passion. That's what I think about the most. And out of everything before my accident, I miss surfing. That's the only thing I miss from walking around is surfing. So another question that people always ask me is, am I angry? Am I angry about my accident? And the answer is no. I'm not angry about my accident. I've been sad. I've been upset. I've been depressed. I've been everything, but I've never been angry. Yeah, I've just never been angry about it. It's affected me a lot and everything like that, but I've never been angry about it. So that's just the way it is. So the other question that people like to ask me a lot is, do I have feeling in my body? So for the first 6 months when I had my accident, I had no feeling at all. I couldn't feel from here down. And now I'm at the point, it was only within, 6 to 12 months after my accident that I actually got, pretty much full feeling. I can feel hot, cold, pain, pleasure. You can stick a pin into my leg and I'll feel the pain of it. I'll feel that pin sliding through my skin. I have a really good feeling. Like I said, hot, cold. So I got very, very good feeling, which leads me on to the next thing. So usually when I'm out and about and people start asking me questions, I know where the conversation's going as soon as they ask me, do you have feeling? I know what the next question is. So as soon as someone says to me, Corey, can you feel what's going on there? I know the next question is, can you have sex? And the truth is, I can. Okay. So when I first had my accident and I was lying in spinal traction, fully paralyzed, I had no feeling. The doctor came in and he's like, dude, you're very lucky because everything works down there. And I was a bit I didn't really understand because, I couldn't feel. But like I said, it took about 6 to 12 months for me to get the feeling back. So, to answer the question is, yes, I can have sex and I enjoy it. Yeah, I'm very, very lucky and I'm very grateful because I know for some people with spinal cord injury, like I said, I can only speak for me, but I know for a fact that other people, before they have sex or anything like that, they have to take a tablet or they have to put an injection into their penis and then they can't feel it. And I don't know what that's like. So I'm extremely grateful that I can feel pleasure and I've got, 98% feeling and everything works, totally fine. I'm extremely grateful for that. And I don't take it for granted. And I enjoy doing all that kind of stuff. It's cool. So, which brings us on to the next question. I get this a lot. It's how do you go to the toilet? You're in a wheelchair. How do you go to the toilet? So the truth is, folks, every time I need to go to the toilet, I do something called a catheter. That's it there. That's it. So when I get the sensation, because like I said, I got feeling, I get the sensation to do a wee. All I do is put this down into my bladder, empty my bladder, and take it out and go about my day. I'll tell you a funny story. So when I first was in hospital and they were telling me and showing me how to catheterize myself, being a man, I'm sure it'd be hard for women too, don't get me wrong, but for me being a man and having to put that down into your bits, I threw up. like no joke, for the first 2 weeks, I threw up 10 times a day. I'd be like fully gagging. Like I'd be like, all right, time to go to the toilet. I have to do this. I put it, I'd be like, yeah. Like I just throw up. Like it just made me vomit. It was horrible. Like, yeah, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. And because I got feeling too, yeah, not cool. But I'm used to it now. So do about 10 a day, just bam, gone, in and out, go to the toilet, and that's pretty much it. So obviously if people are going to ask me like, how do you pee? They're going to ask me, how do I go do a number 2? And I have a morning routine. So, you know, when you're paralyzed, obviously you can't run to the toilet, just jump on the toilet. So you have a morning routine, and my bowels are paralyzed like my bladder. So my bladder doesn't work and my bowel doesn't work. So every single morning, this is called an enema. Oops. Yeah, that's called an enema. So every single morning, all I do is laying on my bed, squeeze that up my butt, and then quickly jump onto my shower chair and then over the toilet, and it just empties my bowels. Like that's pretty much it. So I've done it every day for the last 22 years. Doesn't bother me at all. I just do it without even thinking now, you know. Yeah, so that's how I do a number 2, and it's just, you know, my life now. It's just absolutely normal. So another question people always ask me is, how do I keep, you know, my mental health balanced? Like how do I keep positive and good mental health? And if you've watched my videos, like I do explain a lot what I do through my videos. Like if you watch my videos, I'm always sharing tips on mindset, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's pretty much, I've always had a really good support network of my friends, my family. Yeah, a lot of organizations like Paraquad. I'm very close to the nurses there, like Michael and Nicola. And I have a lot of support. Like, as you can imagine, like going through a traumatic spinal cord injury, breaking your neck surfing, drowning, having your whole life turned upside down at the age of 20 is pretty traumatic. And it does have a huge effect on your mental health. Like, yeah, I went through the spinal unit and some of them committed suicide. Like, it was pretty sad. So it's not easy. So the way I have a balanced mental health is obviously I have a lot of support. I'm not scared to seek help. Like, I'm not ashamed. I feel ashamed, but I still take action. Like, I think, yeah, I always seek help. And I have. I've seen psychologists, counselors. I do whatever it takes to maintain a good mental health. Like, and then it's, you know, law of association. Like, I'm always, you know, only hang around positive people. You know, people that are going to lift me up and make me feel good and stuff like that. We don't own a TV. We don't watch garbage. We read stuff. We listen to positive stuff. Like, yeah, so seek help. Always surround yourself with good, positive people. Look after your health. Yeah, that's pretty much it, really, like in a nutshell. So another question is, I get asked a lot, and I really like this question. It's very interesting. It makes me think. So what would you be doing if you didn't have your accident? And it's a bit of a hard one to answer because I don't exactly know what I would be doing or what my life would be like, you know, if I didn't have my accident, but I've got a fair idea. And anyone that really knows me knows that, yeah, I had my accident at the age of 20. By the age of 22, 23, I know that I would have been in Mexico surfing, living there. I would have been in Mexico, Central America, like traveling, surfing, living there. That was my ultimate dream. So that's pretty much it. If I didn't have my accident, I know at least by the age of 22, 23, I'd be living in Mexico, traveling to Central America and just surfing. Like, that was my absolute dream. That's definitely what would have been like definitely happening. I would have been single And that's what I would have been doing. Another question that people ask me is, what do I miss the most? And I've talked about it. It's surfing. Like, I miss surfing. Like, more than walking, more than anything. Like, I miss surfing. Like, that's the thing that I definitely miss the most. Another question I get asked a lot is, how do I deal with patronising, condescending people? And the truth is that they don't really bother me too much. Like, I think that, people are just doing their best with the knowledge that they have. And, sometimes they might speak a bit funny to me and all that, down to me or whatever, but it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't care, to be quite honest. Like, it doesn't bother me at all. It's just, they just don't know, or they just don't understand, and that's cool. Like, they're just humans. And the truth is, I'm not going to let anyone else steal my joy anyway. Like, if I got annoyed by what people said to me or did or anything like that, like, I would be a very unhappy person for the rest of my life, because it's going to happen every single day. It's going to happen for the rest of my life. People are going to say things that aren't politically correct or whatever. Like, it's just going to happen. So I personally just don't, let it bother me too much. I'm pretty easygoing. And I'm sure people don't mean it on purpose. Like, I think it'd be very rare for someone to be patronising or condescending on purpose. They just don't know. And that's it. Like, you can't be angry at someone for not knowing how to speak to someone with a disability or how to approach someone with a disability. We're not taught it in school. So, it's not a big issue to me. So, another question I get asked is, what could physically able-bodied people do in the community to make my life easier? What can people that aren't disabled do to make my life easier in the community? And just be you. That's it. Like, just be you. If you want to offer someone help that has a disability, do it. If you don't want to offer help, don't. If you want to say g'day, say g'day. Like, just be you. Like, that's the easiest thing to do, is like, don't get too caught up in it. Don't get too wound up about it. Like, it's just whatever. Just be you. If you want to, that's just the way it is. So another question is, what are my 3 most defining moments after my accident? And the first one I can say for sure is, it was just a couple of years after my accident. I was going through a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, and all I could think about was killing myself. And I remember being in a shower for like 3 hours with the water running over my head and thinking, today's the day. Like, today's the day that I either kill myself or I don't. And that was definitely a defining moment. Like, that was a huge moment in my life. The second one, when I was about 24 or 25 at the time, I was using drugs and alcohol. I was a mess. Like, that's the only way to put it. I was a mess. By 10 o'clock in the morning, I was passed out on the kitchen table. Nothing to be proud of. It was really affecting my life. It wasn't helping anything. It was making things worse. So I made a decision to stop using drugs and alcohol. That was definitely, a defining moment in my life. Like, and the other one was marrying my wife, like getting married. Like, that was huge. That's probably the biggest one, is marrying my beautiful wife. Like, that, huge moment. So what are some turning points in my life that are, either good or bad? Some turning points. A few times I've hit rock bottom emotionally. And, there's one, recently there's been a huge turning point, and that was only 2 months ago. So I've been diagnosed with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and GAD, which is generalized anxiety disorder. And it doesn't even have anything to do with my accident, nothing. It doesn't have anything to do with the person trying to set me on fire in public. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's got something to do with a lot of trauma that I've been through. And I will explain what that is when the time's right. And I'll talk about my PTSD and the triggers. Like I said, when the time's right, yeah, it's just not the right time. And that's definitely a turning point in my life, because I realized that I'd been suffering for so long with, you know, PTSD and generalized anxiety disorder. It was really affecting my life, and yeah, it just got to the point where I just couldn't cope anymore, and I had to get some help. And that was a huge turning point, because yeah, I just instantly felt better when I reached out and asked for help. And yeah, huge turning point in my life. Like, yeah, but I had to go down, hit rock bottom emotionally, yeah, to identify where I'm at, what I've been going through. And you know, when you hit rock bottom, there's only one way to go, lift back up. So, you know, I was really stoked, you know, even though it's still hard to deal with, and I'm seeing a psychologist and everything like that. Like, yeah, definitely a huge turning point. A good turning point in my life is, yeah, meeting my wife in 2012. Like, that was a huge turning point. Like, I'd always, you know, really wanted a girlfriend, a future wife, and always wanted this huge connection, like, you know, to meet my soulmate and everything like this. And, you know, as much as I wanted it, I honestly thought it was like a bit of a fantasy, and I was like, oh, is this going to come true? So that was a good turning point, like meeting my beautiful wife. So how long did it take for me to adjust to being in a wheelchair? And honestly, it took me a long time. I honestly thought there was something wrong with me because it took forever. That's what it felt like. It took about 7 to 10 years. Yeah, where I speak to other people and like after 6 months, they're fine. So, and you know, that didn't make me feel good, because I'm like, after 6 months and after 10 years, I'm still a wreck. Yeah, it took me, 7 to 10 years to adjust to being in a wheelchair. I think it was more the grieving period. Like, I really grieved for not being able to walk. Like, yeah, a long time to adjust, you know, mentally and physically. Like, it was really hard for me. Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that, you know, I come from a very sporting background. Yeah, and I think it also has a lot to do with, you got to find your passion pretty quick. It doesn't matter whether you can walk or you've got a disability. Like, if you don't have a passion, a mission in life, yeah, anything like that, you're really going to struggle. So I think once I found my passion, my mission, yeah, it changed everything. And that is like to inspire and motivate people and help people. As soon as I had that back in my life, I was stoked, because before, my passion, my mission was surfing. So I just had to replace surfing with something else. So yeah, 7 to 10 years. And what's, you know, people also ask me, like, what's one of the biggest things I've learned from my disability, like, you know, my accident and everything like that. And one of the biggest things I've learned is that when it comes to life, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. Like, seriously, folks. Like, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. Like, life is fun. Like, it's an adventure. There's a lot of good stuff. Like, a lot of, you know, bad stuff can happen. A lot of bad stuff does happen, you know, but you got to have fun. Like, it is fun. Like, my wife and I have fun a lot. And I think that's what's really helped me get through everything that I've been through, is just having fun. So like I said, in life, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. So I hope I've answered a lot of questions for you out there, folks. Yeah, if you got any more, please comment below. I did my best to answer them. I got a bit emotional. I knew it was going to be hard, but I did it, and I really appreciate you listening. So, you know, folks, if you like what I do, please subscribe. If you want to pay it forward, please share. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. I've got lots more videos coming out soon. Thank you very much.